Student volunteers hammer out some hope for Katrina victims. Since Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans and left most of the Crescent City underwater. And while some restoration has been completed in many places, the rebuilding work continues. Now, Desiree Taylor is here with more on that end of the story. Des?
Jim, the task of rebuilding is daunting and costly. So many residents have had to rely on the kindness of strangers. Earlier this summer, some students from Bergen County traveled to New Orleans to help gut and repair homes. NJN News intern Natalie Drazen and student photographer Kyle Shim captured these compelling images and stories. Katrina, New Orleans seems like it's a world away from New Jersey, literally and figuratively. Some neighborhoods still look like a war-torn country, even though it's been nearly 2 years since Hurricane Katrina devastated this area and much of the Gulf Coast. These images are a sharp contrast to the vibrant city Maggie Wasserman remembers and loves. The Demarest resident, who has family in New Orleans, wanted to help, so she and a group of mostly student volunteers went there recently. Some were shocked at what they found.
They had no idea how horrible it actually is, and that we could drive for hours and hours and see devastated homes, neighborhoods just in shambles.
I was absolutely shocked. All I knew about the situation was what I had seen on TV, and I hadn't seen anything for a while. And I expected to go and see some progress, and I was shocked to see the same pictures I was seeing on television 2 years before that.
Drazen was one of about 30 New Jersey students who volunteered for a program offered through the Episcopal Diocese of Louisiana. When Drazen wasn't doing manual labor, the NJN News intern found time to do interviews with the help of an amateur photographer. They spoke with Katie Mears, who works for the church's rebuilding program.
We're building primarily for elderly folks that are living in trailers by themselves, folks raising kids in trailers, people paying a mortgage as well as paying rent. Those three groups are having a really hard time sort of waiting for the federal money that will allow them to rebuild. So what we're doing is helping them to not have to wait anymore.
I mean, I talk to people back home in New Jersey, and they talk to me as if nothing happened down here, it's all better. And I'm like, well, you have to go down and see for yourself, because that's not true.
This is Robert Puglisi's third trip to New Orleans in the past several years. The Northern Valley Regional High School teacher says he felt compelled to lend a hand after seeing the devastation on TV.
Anybody who suffered from the hurricane, to hear their stories, every single one is different and touching at the same time. You know, you can't talk to these people without your jaw dropping or your eyes watering up, because you're hearing these amazing stories. One, how they survived. Two, how they the courage and the fortitude to come back and rebuild again, and you don't forget that.
Stories of fortitude and courage during and after Hurricane Katrina abound here. Local contractor and volunteer Carl Martin recalled how he and his wife searched frantically for their children through the flooded streets.
We swam for like a mile to get where my kids was, but when we got there, they wasn't at the house, and the water was too high for me to swim it, to get all the way to the house. So we turned around and went back. And when I got home, I prayed, and the cell phone rang, and it was my children, and it was like 8 blocks away at the convention center.
But others weren't so lucky.
I've lost a lot of friends, that died, that drowned, and stuff like that. A lot of friends that moved away don't want to come back, So it's kind of hard, not to see them anymore, and family and friends like that. But I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there isn't easy, especially for residents who lost everything. Critics say the government isn't doing enough to help.
I think between both the local, state, and even the federal government, they could be doing so much more. There's a lot of politics involved and a lot of money involved that just doesn't seem to be getting to the right people right now. And although there has been changes, I don't think progress has been made.
Progress may be slow, but it is visible in certain areas, and there's a commitment from some residents and volunteers to help New Orleans thrive again.
It's moving real slow, but it's coming. We just need more people to help, but it's coming along.
New Orleans. Renew, rebuild. It's a sweet place. Come on down.
Rebuilding will be costly. FEMA says it has allocated more than $6 billion for the state of Louisiana to rebuild critical infrastructure, and it says it has helped more than half of the state's displaced residents get back into their homes or find long-term housing. But as we just heard from volunteers and residents, there's still plenty of work that needs to be done. Jim?
All right, Des, thank you. And coming up in business news,